Joy Revolution podcast. It's me, Mark. Good to be with you. One of the coolest things about hosting this podcast is that I often get to meet and talk to people, sometimes on a very authentic and vulnerable place. And I'm just meeting them right off the bat. And today is exactly one of those dates. I've been waiting for her to come on this podcast for a couple months now. She's not only a healer, she is the type of healer who's very unconventional. To quote, she untangles the threads of trapped emotions resulting from trauma. And by the way, she also has a free book for us, Messages from Spirit. We can go and click on that in the show notes. So, with all of that said, Joy Baker, it's great to have you on the show, my friend.
Hey, Mark, it's so great to be here. It's good to be on the show.
Yeah, right on. So, what are we supposed to do?
No, whatever you want. Well, what you said is that you said I unravel trapped emotions in the unconscious conditioning, and that's a really great way of saying it because it's exactly what I do. I've had a few clients call me a detective because that's pretty much what it is just going deep into the unconscious conditioning. And I just get out of my own way. I listen to my guides, and what comes through comes through. And often we'll identify a limiting belief, a stuck emotion, or a pattern, and then we just follow the stream of consciousness from there. And it's amazing what the energy tells me, and frees up like the person I'm working with. It's something I really enjoy doing.
So it's like two people at once. Like you are both working. You are the healer, and you're working with the, well, I don't know, Healy, and then you're also using your guides to
my
untangle
guides
that.
tell me everything. I'm the physical representation, like I'm the messenger, because they're non-physical, so they can't talk.
Yeah. So my guides here are chuckling because they know your guides. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome.
So before we go into the full story, how does what you do differ from like traditional healing?
I don't know if it differs. Everybody's got their own way of healing and supporting people with healing. The way mine, came through, I took multiple, programs, courses, been on the path 30 years. So it's not a specific modality. It's what comes through. My guides showed up. I started getting these messages about 10 years ago, I guess, and started sharing them with people, and then eventually did a full-time, turned into full-time business. But I guess it's different in that, from what clients have told me, is that we're able to, really identify that really, really hidden stuff that's stuck in the unconscious conditioning that maybe others, so far anyways, haven't been able to discover or unravel. And that's the only, I just get out of my own way and trust my guides and trust, and I'm sure you've been asked too, how can I connect? Well, trust is number one. You've got to trust what comes through. And then when you trust, you allow it to flow.
Now you've had a very, for lack of a better term, traumatic
Mhm.
story, showing up as a child, getting bullied, epilepsy, speech impediments, even some abuse, right? How did that start informing what it means to be a resilient human?
I think I've got a really good work ethic that really helped. Yeah.
Nice.
And, I just became really strong, and and with the work ethic, was able to create what I've created now. But it helped me realize that, because I had 8 years of repressed memories of sexual abuse that I experienced growing up. And then because of all this and not believing in myself and not feeling worthy, I experienced two bankruptcies. Had no intention to. There was a ton of shame before even,
Oh, I
during
bet.
the bankruptcy. But I
I bet.
just didn't believe I could make enough money. And I think a lot of people are like that. They don't value themselves or feel worthy and believe they're worthy of making more money. So I made
Yeah,
just enough
completely.
money to survive. And I know I've talked to several people like that. Um, but it became having gone through that kind of abuse, I think somebody who's gone through something like that, you develop an inner strength that you have to, you
Yep.
need that in this world.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially with what we're going through right now, that inner strength can be very valuable.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Now you said you're a work like you're doing the work. What did it mean? What do you mean when you said you were doing work, you were working, you had a work ethic?
Oh, well, just the way I was brought up, and I worked with horses, and especially when I was on the racetrack. When I was still in school, I showed horses, but when I was on the racetrack, I think, I had a good work ethic, anyways, just the way I was brought up. But that was 7 days a week, and it was physical work, and we had to look after the horses. Nobody else is going to look after the horses, and
Yeah.
that really gave me that really good. If something's going to happen, I'm going to take care of it.
And
And yeah. Mhm.
I can't help but think that working with horses, I mean, from what I know, horses are empaths, right?
Mhm.
Or they'll get you into theta state or something like that. And they've got very real personalities, and
Oh, yeah.
some
Oh,
don't want to
yeah.
work with you and stuff like that, you know? So, how did working with horses, and I think it's been like 33 years, right? How does that like, how did it inform your like spiritual awakening?
Well, when I was on the racetrack and with the horses, I was not aware or awake at all. And it was just towards the end of my time on the racetrack, I met somebody who was into, spiritual growth, and he would talk to me about it once in a while. And then I started reading books and got on the path. And then I was introduced through the book Celestial Prophecy about energy
Mhm.
work and how energy fields they interact and such. And then I just started running with it because the whole energy concept just fascinated me. And I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And it was, to me, as I started to remember through repressed memories of trauma and such and what I'd gone through.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I thought I'd had a great childhood when I first got into this. I didn't remember any of that. And
Mm.
so, but realizing that energy tools like EFT, I've
Mm.
used EFT for hours and, at a time, that was going to support me getting through the trauma and
Now
having that
explain
energy.
EFT.
Yeah. Oh, EFT is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. 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 It's just, because it releases that stuck energy in the meridians, and it allows the energy to flow. And when the energy flows, we're energy beings. So everything starts to move and you start to feel better.
And I'm sure that's where like as you're unraveling some of those trapped memories, right? Sexual abuse starts showing up.
Yeah, that actually came to me. It was right at the beginning of 2000, and it was in a dream. And I didn't realize it wasn't, dreams aren't black and white, they've got many layers. And it wasn't until I started to think about it and the people in the dream that I put it all together. And it was for 4 and then I realized who it was, at least the first person,
Oh,
and
who was it?
it was, I don't
Oh,
wanna
no, no, no,
name
I'm sorry.
yeah, and so but I mean, I was going to school for counselor training at that time full time, plus I had 2 jobs, so between working, going to school, and then, I would eat as everything I could because I was just trying to push all this down, but the memories were coming up anyways.
Mm,
And it took me about 4 years to really start to believe it had happened.
mhm,
Because I mean, memories, they came in all kinds of different ways. And then
mhm.
I had kind of a quiet time where no more memories came in for whatever reason for 5 years. And then there was another 4 years when the memories started up again, but they were much more intense this time. In spring 2010, almost committed suicide, really close to it. And, if I'd done it, I would have been successful. So fortunately, I didn't, and I'm still
Yeah,
here. And it was in around 2014 because I kept, every time a memory came in, Mark, I would get knocked down again. And it was like, just get knocked off my track. And I was getting to the point, how am I going to get back up? Like it was
yeah,
just,
yeah.
and, I think we've all had that feeling like gone through something and, life beats you down. It's like, how
Sure.
am I going to get back up? And it was around 2014, I said to the universe, because people learn through pain or pleasure. Most people learn through pain. And I
Mm.
said to the universe, you know what, universe, I'm done learning my life lessons through pain. I'm ready for some pleasure. I'm ready to, learn my life lessons from a much easier perspective and understanding. And it was around that time, because at the time I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was around that time that things started to change and look up, and I didn't, and that was when the memories more or less stopped. I've had, a couple little ones every now and then, but I'll just say to the universe, hey universe, I don't need to remember anymore. I'm ready to move forward now.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was about a year after that, year and a half, that I said, okay, it's time to do this full time, and I just committed to doing this full time.
You know what's what's interesting as you say that, there was a probably an 18-month stretch where, my dreams were getting more vivid, and more vivid. I remember this dream where, there was like a circle of us. It was almost like we were kids, and then there was like a teacher, and we'd run into this building, and the building went up sideways, and the game was to get to one side or the other. And I thought I won the game, and then I opened the box, and it said everything's rigged, or everything is like right, and then the whole building would crash down, and then we were back in a circle. And the teacher would say, Mark, what did you learn? And I was like, uh yeah, the game is rigged. I don't want to play. And then we'd start again. And then like we'd come crashing down. And I remember saying, like, I can't help everybody and I want to. And it'd go up again and it'd come down. And that
Wow.
happened for many, many months. All these sorts of games that were being played. And there was a point where I remember I was waking up from one of the dreams and I heard someone say, you can turn this down if you want. It was almost like a volume knob,
Wow.
and they were like, and I think it's very interesting. I didn't pay too much attention to dreams, but I did think about that. What was interesting was, my father died like 2 months later, and I wonder if that was something where there was a lot of life lessons that I wanted to go in, and or that I was ready to go and take on, and that happened, and it prepared me for another part of my life.
Wow,
So yeah,
sounds like
right,
it, yeah. And
yeah.
hearing everything's rigged, oh man, that's powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, there was this, it was interesting, and so I just started writing some of those things down. I showed some drawings to, like, because these would show up in the dreams, and they'd say that's light codes, and I'm like, what is light codes? What does it say? But
Wow, that's
yeah,
so cool.
and I
How
don't know
long
about,
ago was that?
this was this was around 4 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm going, I'm going everywhere. Animals started talking to me, and there was an owl that showed up like in my
Wow,
dreams, and then like 2 days later I saw an owl on the fence. 3 days later there was a owl feather on my front door.
wow.
But yeah, I think it, coming in, and getting those sort of synchronicities, I guess, it just makes life so amazing, right? There's something bigger than ourselves, or at least that's my take on things.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. There's something and that's why I don't, with the world, the chaos that's going on right now, I don't feel the fear, because I just know there are powers far greater than us that are supporting us. We're co-creators. They won't just take care of us, but they're co-creating with us and supporting us, this raising our vibration and higher
Yeah.
consciousness.
So, are
Yeah.
you thinking of things like interdimensional beings, archangels? Like, who are these folks that are taking care of us? Because I believe in it too.
I don't know, kind of like just like you said, the higher power, just knowing that there are energies, light beings. I mean, there's pictures of them, archangels and that, the forms, but I don't really, when I say like we're being taken care of, I see it as more an energy, just energies, light, high consciousness, non-physical light beings
Mm.
are supporting us. And those of us that are on the path that are aware of that are co-creating with them. And as we co-create with them and we raise our frequencies, then we're supporting all of humanity, because
Mm.
that energy, that frequency, that radiates out. And this is something I often share with my clients when they feel bad about what's going on in the world or connecting with the suffering, is those that are ready, when you're in a really good place, when you're in a place of trust, joyfulness, when you feel good about yourselves, that plays, a huge part in it. That's what's radiating out from you. And as it radiates out from you, there's no limit to that. It might be a person on the other side of the world who's ready for so much more in their life, and they will align with that frequency, all because you've decided to feel good about yourself, and you've decided to, really realize we are being supported and we are co-creators,
Oh,
and you're so
joy
much more
maker.
powerful than yeah.
Incredible. Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I want to bring this up though. You're a healer, right? Can someone feel or experience or be in a high vibration when they're wrought with trauma?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when in the moment they're in the trauma, and if they're stuck in fear, then they won't be radiating that high vibration. They won't be feeling it, but they have access to it. If you do the inner work and you're of that higher vibration and consciousness and awareness, and you've connected with, guides or the higher beings, that's available to you at any
Mm,
time. But it's a process of, so let's say you've got a lot of trauma and you're working through it. And so you go down into that trauma and the memories are coming up, and maybe the fear and different things like that. Well, at that moment, yes, we're interdimensional beings, so are multidimensional beings. That time, you're more in the fear-based third dimension, but it doesn't mean you're stuck there. And at
yeah.
that moment, when you're in the fear and the trauma, the higher consciousness, the feeling good is not. It feels like it's not available to you, but
Yeah.
as you work through that, that will become available again. So we're always cycling through the dimensions.
Talk about what's going on with the 3D and the 5D split. Like, what is that? What does it mean to you? How do you explain it to, if you even believe in it? Like, how do you explain that to a listener?
Okay, so well, let's explain what the dimensions are first of all.
Oh,
So
okay.
that so okay. So the third dimension is, it's all about lack, limitation, scarcity. It's fear-based. So the emotion of fear, any emotions that align with that. So guilt, shame, anger, disappointment, anxiety. So if you're feeling heavy, dense, if you're anxious, you're in that fear-based 3D dimension. Now, we've been birthed into it, our ancestors have been birthed into it, because that's a dimension of lack, limitation, scarcity, struggle. That's, all our ancestors have known. And we've been birthed into that and grown up in that consciousness. And we all know
Mm.
the structure and of that, of lack and limitation and such. Okay, so the
All the
fifth
way to the
dimension.
first humans. The
Yeah,
first
yeah.
humans. Okay.
And well, I would say no, not to the first humans. I would say for a couple thousand years, maybe. And because again, the dimensions and what we're living in, that's always growing, changing as well. Like we're moving out, we came out of the age of Pisces, we're in the age of Aquarius now. The age of Aquarius, those are the lighter frequencies, the higher emotional frequencies.
Yeah.
That's when we really, understand we're co-creators here. We're co-creators with, higher powers.
Which is where the
And
5D is.
yeah, and yeah, so the fifth dimension, the thread that holds that together is divine love. So the third dimension is fear-based. The fifth dimension is divine love, and anything that aligns with that. So happiness, joyfulness, gratitude, fun, laughter, inspiration, creativity, abundance, flow, ease. So
Mm.
you're in the fifth dimension. I think we've all felt that in meditation or when we're,
Yeah.
listening to high frequency music, and you're feeling relaxed and at ease and everything. Even, I mean, at that time, news could come across that would normally shake your world, and you're like, I can handle this.
Right.
Yeah,
Completely.
we've all
Completely.
been in that place. Now, the
Yeah.
fourth dimension, I look at that as a portal or even like a tunnel. So it connects those two. The fourth dimension is when you're doing your inner work. So when you're going deep into your trauma and you're figuring things out, or you're visioning something greater, and that brings up the trauma. So there's a couple ways to do inner work. That's the fourth dimension. And at that, when you're doing your inner work and you start to feel really good and say, oh man, that feels so good. You can just feel the pressure and the
Completely.
stress off you. At
Completely.
that point, what you want to do, what most people do, and what I did for most of my life is, "Oh, that feels good. Okay, well, I'm going to go do this now and just it's done." What you want to actually do is beforehand, have some kind of a vision for yourself. So, how do you choose to feel emotionally? Happy, full of
Mm.
gratitude, inspired, healthy. So, and then what you want to have in that, maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to swim with the dolphins, buy a house, go for a multi-day hike, go out camping, anything like that. Doesn't have to be a big vision. I want to go out and get myself some, clothes or runners or whatever it is. But you have some kind of vision that uplifts you. Now, so let's say you've been doing your inner work and you feel relax, that pressure, stress is off you. Then, because you want to take that, you want to move into the fifth dimension, you focus on your vision and how that feels.
Mm.
Imagine stepping into your house you've just bought and you walk into the house and you look around the neighborhood and it feels so good. And you walk in the front door, it's like, oh my gosh, I just bought this house. This is mine now, whatever it is. And you feel into that. And the reason for that, there's a reason you don't just do your inner work and just stop there, is because in moments of stress, we default to our comfort zone. Your comfort zone is what you grew up in as a child. So that think of the emotional energetic field that you grew up in. So it might be fear, shame, heaviness, a density, not being understood. If you're a
Yeah.
light worker, a light being, you generally were born into, 3D families. And so they
Right.
don't understand you. You might have heard you're too sensitive, different things like that. So in moments of stress, we default to that because even though it's toxic and dysfunctional, it's familiar. What's familiar is comforting. What's comforting is your comfort zone. So moments of stress, we default to our comfort zone, and everybody does it. But the
Completely.
difference, and this is the ascension process, is so let's say money is a big thing.
Oh, we're talking
Let's
about
say,
that in a
yeah,
second.
yeah. Let's
You're
say,
running this podcast. I love it.
let's say an unexpected bill comes in and you're just feeling a little good financially. Maybe you're going through some hard times, you get a little money in the bank, unexpected bill comes in. And that can take anybody down, very, very quickly. Ascension is not about not going back to that third dimension, because as a light worker, every time you go back to the third dimension, you're seeding the light. Um, but it's about getting yourself out of that more quickly. So instead, where it would take days or weeks, worrying about money, it's like, okay, well, this happened. I thought I had that money in the bank I could use for something else. And you figure out a way to get out of that more quickly so that you are, instead of staying stuck in, oh my gosh, the money, I thought I had the money, and then go into blaming society, the system, whatever it is. It's, you're like, you know what, this happened, but I'm still safe. I still have my, place
Yeah.
to live. I still have my job. I still have this. And so what you're doing is you're turning around the energy of that, and you'll come back and look at that and go, okay, well, at least I've got the money to easily pay for that. That very energy of gratitude will attract more money into your life.
That is so cool. I mean, you basically are knocking out all my questions that I had prepared for you.
Okay.
How much does I mean, I could see a person saying, I don't like money is the root of all evil. And that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm blissed out, you know? Um versus like finances as maybe a litmus test to a personal abundance and spiritual flourishing. Because I've definitely heard folks being like, I don't believe in money. Like
Mhm.
I got the world. What's your thoughts on that?
Uh, yeah, I think we've all heard the saying in growing up with money is the root of all evil. It's actually the
Yes.
love of money that's the root of all evil. It's been, and I not a I did read the Bible a couple times when I was really young, but I've heard it's in the Bible as the love of money is the root of all evil, but people have shortened it to money is the root of all evil. But it's actually loving money. So, in other words, loving money over everything else. So, money is a tool, just like we have, whether EFT or anything else, it's a tool to support you in living your best life ever. And
Hmm.
but when you fall in love with that and make it more important than people, than your happiness, than supporting others, than caring about the world and that's what that statement means. But it's not
Got it.
money itself. Money
And
is you want to ask something?
nope, you're
Okay.
kicking ass, so I'm not stopping.
Okay. Money is simply an energy, it's a frequency. And if, like, when I see money in that divine space, so imagine the next time you're in a really beautiful, quiet space, harmonious space, and maybe you're in a meditation or listening to high frequency music, and you can, that energy feels so good. Take a look at money in that energy. Money is simply a frequency
Wow.
until it's brought into human consciousness, and then humans decide if it's going to be good or bad. Imagine there was some money on the ground there, some dollar bills just on the ground. It's not doing anything, it's just there. Doesn't do anything until somebody picks up that money and does something with it. So money itself is has no, it's not doing anything, it's not good or bad, it's neutral
Right,
until
right.
a person decides if they're gonna do good with it, if they're just, going to use it for bad intentions, or if they're just gonna use it to support themselves.
Yeah.
That's like money itself, because we often blame money. And if you look at money and you look at, or somebody who's listening who's got money issues, look at how you talk to money. And often you say, money, you're never here when I need you. I can't count
Yo,
on you,
that's
money. I can't,
amazing.
and yeah, you start noticing how you talk to money. Now take a look at your relationships, because we have a relationship with money, just that we have a relationship with everything, but we also have a relationship with money. Notice how your relationships are, because, and I've seen this with people, when relationships improve, your money situation will improve. When your money situation improves, your relationships also tend to improve. And it's because, imagine talking to money such as, money, thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for always being here when I need you. Money, I really appreciate you. I am so grateful for you. And you know what, money, I'm grateful for you always being here when I need you. I realize sometimes I worry that you might not be here, but those are my issues. Have always been here, money. Somehow, money, you've always shown up in my life, and I'm so grateful to you, money, for you, money. Thank you, money. I appreciate you. I bless you, and I heal you from any wrongdoing or any harsh words I have ever, directed towards you. And now, money, as I send you out into the world, as I share you with others, as I buy things, I bless you, money, so that you can go out into the world and bless all those you come in contact with. And
Mm.
now, money, I ask you to come into my life manyfold so that I may appreciate, bless, and heal even more of you. And imagine doing that to money. That's
Oh
going
my.
to attract money.
And if you're talking about money as energy, holding on to it would feel like stuck energy, right? Versus moving it in and out and being grateful for it. What was So you had two bankruptcies, right?
Mhm.
So what did that look like from going to bankruptcy to like now your relationship with things? Like at the very beginning of the second or after the second bankruptcy, did you start talking to it in a different way? Were you like, what am I doing? This is bonkers. I'm talking to money, right? What did that
Yeah.
look like? And what is,
Um,
what can, the audience get from what you learned from it?
Actually, I fell into, well, after the first one, I was like, oh, I never thought I'd have a second one. I was just like everything. And it was after the first one that I went into counselor training, and I'm like, I'm going to turn my life around. Had the best of intentions, taking tons of programs or volunteering because I didn't have much money then, whatever I
Mhm.
could do. But then things just, again, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe I had any value or And so, yeah, I went through the second bankruptcy, and actually, both times I went and saw a credit counselor, like
Mhm.
to consolidate them and to pay them off. And both times they looked at how much money I was making. I'm like, "Mm-mm, you're not making enough money to even pay this, debt consolidation."
Mhm. Wow.
And so they both recommended, and I went to different people both times, that I declare bankruptcy. And
Mm.
so, actually, after the second one, I fell into despair. Yeah, I was a
Yep.
lot of despair, and my go-to survival job was telemarketing or cold calling. And, I could always count on that to make at least enough money to pay rent and groceries and such.
Mhm.
And so I was telemarketing, and I would wake up every morning. I mean, I'd been doing it so much and over the past 20 years off and on. And every morning I would wake up, and it was just like this intense despair. This wasn't that long ago. This was only 2013.
Mm.
And I kept saying to the universe every morning, universe, there's got to be more than this. It's like I knew there was more than that. And then I ended up finding a job on doing working trade shows. And so I got a job working trade shows throughout Canada. And after a year and a half, I quit that and said, you know what, it's time to start my business. And I started my business. So this was September 2015. I came from my last job. It was a $4,000 paycheck. And that's
Mhm.
all I had. I had no money in savings, no investments, no credit cards, no estranged from my family. So no friends I could borrow money from. It was $4,000. And I'm like, quit my job. I'm like, hey, and I had no clients either. And so, no, I was committed. And so as soon as I did that, I went, well, I've got to make money. So how do I
Yeah.
make money? So I thought, well, I could start doing chair massage. Soon as I decided I wanted to do energy work, but I thought chair massage, I can, get a chair, go out to golf courses, whatever it is, just hustle a little bit and make money. And as soon as I did that, a friend of mine I was talking to, who she had just been on chair massage gigs, so I asked her about it. She said it was actually somebody else who got the contracts and then sent the massage therapist out. And so I looked into that, got this, started working for this woman, and it was just enough. It wasn't steady, but every now and then I remember standing in my kitchen one time, $40 to my name, had to pay rent, gro you know, cupboard is bare, so I had to buy groceries. I just got a few groceries every day, and no, steady clients at that time. I would have a few every now and then, and saying to the universe, and I did this several times the first year, "Okay, universe, if you want me to do this, if you want me to healer and to be a healer and support and inspire people, send me clients or send me a chair massage contract." Every time within 24 hours, something showed up. Every time.
Wow. Wow. How much do you feel that belief comes into this, right? Because it's one thing to say something. It's another thing to say something and have belief in it. Would
Belief,
you
yeah.
agree, disagree?
Oh, absolutely. Belief in yourself. Yes, you've got to believe in yourself. Like I said, until I started believing in myself, I didn't commit to this business, and I didn't really believe it was going to happen. And but what I used was to get on my first show was, what if it's possible? Because I met somebody who one day, 2 years before I ever got on my first show, just out for a walk, and I met a mutual friend, and we were talking about, a mutual healer we knew that had been on one of the podcasts.
Mhm.
And she said, "You ought to start doing that." And I'm like, "I'm not going to do that. Who am I?" Like that. I've been listening to him for years, but who am I to speak? And I was terrified of it. I wanted to be invisible. I had a vow of invisibility. I did not want to be out there and seen and heard. But then I started
Wow. Yeah.
asking myself, what if it's possible? What if it's possible? Because the ego mind would come in and say, oh, you're not good enough. You could never do that. Plus, you're too scared. You don't have what it takes, and you're too shy, all these things. Because I used to be painfully shy. And so,
Makes
but
two
I
of us.
started saying, yeah, what if it's possible? What if it's possible? What if it's possible? I even recorded on my phone just that phrase, what if it's possible, for 20 minutes. And I would play that, if I woke up in the middle of the night, just play it on my phone. I said that for 2 years. And Then, in the meantime, I'd committed to doing my business full time and such. And when the opportunity showed up, and it was a client that I'd worked with a few times, and she really liked my work, and she said, "Well, I know somebody who's a co-producer of this show. Would you like to be on it?" I'm like, Sure." So she emailed them, and they said, "Sure, send her information." So I sent, my client the information. She sent, and not, I still didn't think it was going to happen. And when
Oh.
she contacted me, I even though I was saying, "What if it's possible?" I still didn't think I was worthy of that. But
Mm,
the "what if it's possible" gave me enough belief to say yes when the opportunity showed up. If I hadn't been doing that, what if it's possible, and then quit my job, commit to this, all of that prep, it was like preparation for the opportunity. When the opportunity showed up, I was ready to say yes, even though I didn't really think it was going to happen. And when she contacted me, and it was actually 10 days later, I was going on the show, we set the date. The fear was just, it was just, in fact, the whole time I've been doing the shows now for almost 9 years, and I'm getting much better now. But that's only recently that I really started to feel more comfortable being on the shows. There has been so much fear.
mhm. You
And
know,
yeah, go ahead.
what's interesting too that I'm hearing you talk about is sometimes I didn't have belief, but you're taught like a couple times you're talking about action too. Just because you believe doesn't mean you shouldn't take action on it. Do you agree? Disagree?
Action is the bridge. Action is the bridge between your vision and your desires and actually creating that in your physical world. So I was talking to somebody a client. She hadn't contacted me for a while, but she emailed me about a month ago and said, "I've created this. I've got everything in place, but the clients aren't showing up." And I said, "What are you doing to take action?" And she emailed me back, and I said, "Well, this." And so I said, "You've got to take bigger action, because you can be the best healer or coach or electrician or plumber or whatever it is in the world, but if nobody knows about you, they don't know about you." So yes, you've got to take action, and big action, and there can be a ton of fear there.
Oh,
But
I
you take
bet.
action anyways.
Completely.
You take action. I know many people will say, "Well, I'm just going to wait till the fear goes away." It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't go away. It just doesn't go away.
So let me ask you this then. If someone fully believes that they were called to do something in the world, anything, and they're continually falling flat on their face. Is there a time where you go, okay, I gave it a shot. It's what I love, but I can't carry myself. I can't get money to take care of myself from the thing that I love. Is is that is that something where if you believe and you take action, that can turn around, or just sometimes things aren't a good fit when it comes to calling in money?
That's a good question. I get that often from clients. I tried starting, especially with healing businesses, because I mean that's what this is. I started this healing business 5, 10, 15 years ago, or I put everything into it and nothing worked out. So it's not going to happen. There's so many reasons. I tried starting this healing business, 2, 3 times like
Mhm.
but I just never had any money. I'd quit my job, I'd do this for a month, run out of money, have to go back and do something again. That's when I could, just find any kind of job. And what it means is, first of all, there's some kind of block. It might be a belief. It might be the belief that I can only make money when I'm doing something I hate. So you're out there trying to start your business, but the belief, that's hidden there is, I can only make money if I'm doing a job or doing something that I hate. So you want to do something you love, but you can't make money at it. So take a look at your beliefs. Take a look at how you feel about, like, I had one client that worked with me for a little bit, and I remember her saying right at the beginning she wanted to start a full-time healing business. She'd been doing it
Mhm.
for years, but it had been part-time.
Mhm.
But she said, I forget her exact words, which I won't say anyways on the show. But this is common, that with people, they don't want to lose the joy of doing it. And it's like,
Yes.
you love doing it, but when you're doing it once in a while. It's different than running as a business. When you're running as a
Right.
business, you're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur wears many hats, and you have to do all kinds of things, especially when you're starting out. And then it can become more like work. And she was afraid of losing the joy of that, and doing it occasionally, or it's a break from the job, so it's joyful and it's uplifting. But when it's a business and it's the only thing you're doing to make money and to survive on, then you can feel different about that. And I've had actually several people, that's kind of been an underlying thing. So if anybody's listening right now and they're kind of in that position, ask yourself, are you afraid that if you really step into this as a full-time business and you have to do the tech stuff and talk to people and put all kinds of stuff together, are you afraid that you lose the joy of actually working with clients?
Mm,
And if so, know that it's the passion of working with clients that is going to make doing all that other stuff worth it.
mm,
Because yeah, there can be ups and downs, and sometimes you need to take a break, or go for a long walk in nature. That's how I recharge myself,
yeah.
and different things like that. But if your passion, and this is any kind of entrepreneurial job, or like self-employed or business, it's the passion that is going to say you have to do all that other stuff that is mundane and boring, but it's the passion of what you want to do that makes it all worth it. And so the other thing is, if somebody's tried to start a healing or coaching or some kind of business or any kind of business before, even if it's not in the healing field, especially in the healing field, the consciousness didn't necessarily may have not necessarily supported like the humanity's consciousness.
Yeah.
Where it's very different now than it was 5 years ago. There's much more acceptance of it. People are awakening. And plus everybody's in a different time in their life. That time of their life, it might not have been the right time to start it.
Completely.
So, yeah, it doesn't mean give up on it whatsoever. In fact, I think the world needs people now. Humanity needs, the earth needs, the universe needs people saying, you know what, I'm going to do this one way or another. I'm going to share the light within me
Calling
because
all
it's
light
needed.
workers.
Exactly. A
Right?
calling to all
All
light
hands on
workers. Yeah,
deck. Earth is the place to be right now.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I've got goosebumps now. Oh, full body goosebumps. It might be someone from my committee over here.
Okay.
As you were talking about that, and we're gonna move from talking about money, because there's so many other things to talk about, but they're all related, right? Um, a belief that came up was, I before this, I worked in education, right? And then there's sort of the coaching space, and I've had this belief that if I'm doing quote unquote God's work, if I'm teaching and I'm helping people through positive psychology, then I'm selling out, because I'm not supposed to get a big paycheck.
Mm.
I'm doing God's work, and that's you know what I mean? And it's funny how those belief systems can continually show up. So I very much appreciate that. I want to go to trauma again. This
Actually,
time,
can you hold on to that? Can I
yeah.
address that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Heal
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Heal me. Like,
yeah,
I
because
want to put you in my pocket right now.
because that's actually common, and a lot of people will say that, or they will judge others. How could you charge when it's God's work, or it's coming from spirit? And so let's say that we both have that belief. Well, then we'd have to work a job to support ourselves, and time you get home and you have a day or two off to take care of stuff, you're not making a difference. You're too tired to work with anybody. Your
Yes.
energy is too low. Your consciousness is too low. And it takes 2 days just to build yourself back up again. And so then you don't work with anybody. So now the light's not being shared. Nobody's being encouraged. Nobody's being supported. So for those that say, well, you shouldn't charge for this, well, that's one. Right now, it's the economy we live in. This is the world we live in. We need money.
Yeah.
Everybody, once you're conceived, money supports you in one way or another.
Yeah.
And if you're not out there sharing this, then nobody's going to awaken. And we're just going to stay in that 3D fear based consciousness of lack and limitation. And the few that have the money, the system will once again run things.
Yes.
So, yes, we need people out there charging for their services and making money and sharing their words of wisdom and their life experiences and what they've gone through to support others.
I absolutely love that. You know what's interesting is that we've got 9 minutes left. I just realized that, but
Really?
like
Okay.
this is what happens when you pull me into the conversation. Like I
Can
feel
it
like
go over? Are
we're
we done
besties.
in,
We're
can it,
besties.
yeah.
Well, you've talked about your past. You talked about where we're at right now. What does it look like 5, 10 years from now on this planet that we all inhabit? What are your thoughts about where we're going
Mm.
3D, 5D, what 12D, what is this looking like? And then I'm also throwing it out there because like we're looking at these like communal spaces now, right? Like community gardening. A
Mhm.
lot of folks are buying into. A lot of people are feeling that um uh parenting will be like very much like a group or neighborhoods parenting the kids saying come back when it gets dark. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's what I grew up in, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
right.
yeah, and I think it's going to be each individual person, people who are awake, moving into higher consciousness, the light workers. They're being more in that fifth dimension. They're being the light, and they will be. Some people are going to be stuck in the majority of the population, stuck in that 3D energy and fear based, and they're going to be stuck in the lack and limitation and struggle. And that's their life path. It doesn't mean don't have compassion for them or say, well, that's just, what they have to go through. Have compassion, support them if you can. But at the same time, that's their path in this lifetime.
Mhm.
But then others, this is what I believe, others are going to be of the light, of, living from trust, from higher consciousness, from awareness. Awareness is what's going on in the world, self awareness. And in that case, I believe like 3D, 5D people will all, with that consciousness will all be living on the earth, but some people will stay stuck. Many of them will. And that will be their path in this lifetime. And others are going to awaken, and many are awakening right now, just starting on the path. And they're going to see that there's a reason for everything that's going on and the chaos that's going on. It's not easy to live through.
Sure.
And it's definitely, just smashed to smithereens the whole normal concept. Yeah.
So
All of that. Yeah,
so I
go
might
ahead.
know the answer, but I want to throw this out there. Do you believe that we are infinite beings having a human experience?
Hmm.
Why? Why don't we just get to be the infinite beings? Because I have my own take on it, but like, what's your thought on that?
Because I believe we're all energy and everything is energy. So the physical body will disintegrate. Our
Mm.
our soul, light,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it soul, will continue. What was your take on it?
My take on it is okay. I'm thinking like, well, I'm not thinking like an infinite being. I could see an infinite being saying, I'm kind of bored because I can do anything that I want. Why not play a game, temporarily forget that I'm an infinite being, and see what I learn from it? And then afterwards, I just get to pop out of that and go to my next project or whatever. So that's sort of my take on it. But as I think about that, I'm like, how cool is that to be an infinite being and playing a game,
Hmm.
you know?
Which
And
I think really we are, but when we're in human consciousness, we forget that.
Mhm.
It's like when we're young, all that gets, I call it the veil of forgetfulness, and it covers us around, 5, 6 years old, and we forget that we're the light. We are that, infinite being. Have you ever
Mm.
watched The Truman Show?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that I
Like,
thought of that a couple times with some of the things you're mentioning here. And the Truman Show, for anybody that hasn't watched it, it's older show. Jim Carrey's in it. And so what is it, 10, 15, 20 years old, something
it's
like that?
probably 15, 20 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but especially if you're new to this space, and learning how, that we are part of a system and such. So, but yeah, the Truman Show.
It's so good. It's so good. What a harbinger to like what we're going through right now,
Hmm.
Okay, you're coming back on the show, my friend. You have no choice.
Okay.
I'm gonna come find you, even if it's like 8 months from now. I know you've got like a busy schedule, but I wanted to ask one final question of you. The podcast is called the Joy Revolution Podcast, and to focus in on what that means, a joy revolution could be two things, right? Have you ever felt that moment internally where just you're experiencing life and just the heart overfloweth?
Mm.
Goosebumps or tears or just you're just so lit up, right? Or a joy revolution could be one in which you're using joy to create change in the world, right? So, Joy, I'm going to ask you, Joy Baker, what is your joy revolution?
Being around animals, definitely. Being in nature. Where I
Mm,
moved to here on Vancouver Island, I'm an 8-minute walk from the ocean, and it's a really
mm,
quiet little place, down some stairs. Seeing that, like just looking out at that, and
mm.
sometimes I can just be like really quiet, the water's quiet, and other times if it's kind of windy, the waves are coming up. Every time I walk there and go down the stairs, it's like, oh my gosh. It's just, yeah, it just feels amazing. Yeah.
I absolutely have loved our conversation. I'm not joking. I really want to stay in touch with you and have you back when you'll come back. Um, Joy has been so generous to offer her ebook, Messages from Spirit, and you can pick that up not only from the show notes, or you can go to courageinaction.com. Joy, I've had a blast with you. So on behalf of Joy and myself, start your revolution. Start it in love, in light, in shadow, and in joy, baby. See ya.
Thanks.
Joy. you I hope you don't mind, but like we completely went away from what I was gonna ask, and then you were still answering the question.
Oh, yeah.
You're on.
Is the recording still on?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit stop here right now.
Okay.
All right, this wraps up another episode of the Joy Revolution podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And since you made it this far, go ahead and hit subscribe. Now, if you want to hear more podcasts, or if you're ready to engage with a community who will support and challenge you, if you're ready to start your own Joy Revolution, head on over to my online community, The Underground. The link is in the description. It's free to sign up. I've got a bunch of resources in there, including my own Joy Revolution course. So until next time, I'm Marc Cordon Creative. Dig deep, and I'll see you in the underground.